Hello, this is my video on my submission to Avatar's Prison Challenge. My prison is called Ethereal for the reason that it does not have any solid blocks, which means blocks that a survival mode player can't pass through. So you're starting to see some of the examples of that here. So in this video, I'm just going to talk about the things I think are cool about this prison and the shortcomings, because there are a lot of issues with it, as you might expect, but, it's not as terrible as, the impression of, oh my god, no solid blocks may have you first think. So I think I'll just start with the visiting process since we're already in the Nether. So the band area, as you can see, is hollowed out. I took no solid blocks to mean, no bedrock in the Overworld or in the Nether. So then the Overworld is actually a void world. Escapists can place blocks if they want. I'm not saying escapists can't place blocks. I just used a void world because it's more convenient. The Nether, I just hollowed out manually because it's smaller. So I guess so the visiting process involves the visitor climbs up this vine, which is suspended on this cobweb, which is placed with update suppression, and that works because this is version 1.17.1, and it's vanilla. So immediately that means that the bands are absolutely enormous. That's why this space is so enormous, and it's filled with just a few bands over there. But it does mean that we can use update suppression, which is necessary in some cases. I've tried to use it as sparingly as possible because it could become like a crutch, but here I don't know how to get the player up, and the player needs to go up for a reason that you'll see in a second, without using update suppression. So player climbs this vine, the visitor or the prisoner. This is the entrance process, as I said before. Climbs this vine, and then they will sit in this strider, which has a saddle. You can click the strider. And then they will point their cursor at, I believe, an angle of 135.43, which you can't always get perfectly, but the exact decimals, I think, don't matter so much. So they'll point their cursor in that direction, and then they'll throw a pearl. So why a pearl? Well, the ban regions are so huge that we cannot portal link across them, right? This is a 256 block wide span. Portals link like 16 blocks in the Nether. So that's not happening. And we can't get through the Overworld for the same reason, except the Overworld is actually incredibly more massive than this. So we can't get through the Overworld, basically. So what I've chosen to have the visitor do instead is pearl diagonally between this narrower area between these two bands. This is actually like 64 blocks in the X and Z direction. So anyway, they'll throw their pearl. The pearl will fall way down, and it will land on this boat. Or it will fall into the void. One of those two. And if it falls into the void, there's no issue. So then they'll climb the vine again. I'm kind of navigating with one paw here because I'm holding my recording device in the other. It's a great setup. So they'll climb the vine, get in the second strider, throw their pearl again, land on this boat, climb the third vine, throw another pearl, and then they land on the last boat, and they can climb the vine into the cursed portal, right? So this is why I really need update suppression, because I cannot use obsidian. Obsidian is a solid block, and is not gonna work. Obviously, you need to place obsidian while you're making this cursed portal. This is not supposed to be built with no solid blocks, but in the final version of the prison, I guess, there's no solid blocks. You may have been noticing these kind of signs and red stained glass surrounding the vines, and you may think, oh well, actually, red stained glass is solid, in the sense that you can't go through it. So that is standing in for redstone dust. The redstone dust is there for a couple reasons. So first of all, it updates both up and down. The signs will, update it if you try to break blocks. All of this will update. The signs go only upwards. The signs will break all the way to the top, and then they will update the redstone dust up here. And then the redstone dust will send this kind of, oh no, there's a problem signal back down to here. And then this branches off in two directions, and both of them go to these bands, which I will talk about later. So that's if you try to place blocks or, break blocks or whatever, this should all detect that. Yeah, and also you can't throw a pearl when you're looking at a sign on a strider. So as you can see here, I have them instead look at a little bit of redstone dust while they throw the pearl. So that's how that works. Okay, so that's kind of the visiting process in the Nether, assuming the visitor behaves. I'm now going to enter the Overworld. Okay, we're in End Crystals. There's another cursed portal here. And we're surrounded by boats and end crystals and cobwebs and signs, and it's a mess. This is the entrance hall. This is supposed to do something specific, which is catch TNT that falls out of the portal and cause that portal to break. I think I probably had a plan to do something with a trap portal, but now this is kind of the trap portal. Anyway, so it's surrounded by boats. The end crystals stop you from pearling out, setting a pearl through and going somewhere you're not supposed to. So the entrant has come through the portal, and they have come out of the cobweb slowly, and then this is the decon hall. There will be one guard waiting here. There are two guards. I'll talk a lot about the other guard later. The second guard, which is kind of the non-warden guard, will ensure they're not doing anything suspicious. The entrant is going to throw all their pearls, and if they have any other items, those into the lava. And then the decon guard will give them 41 pig step. Of course, they have to turn on their crafting, touchscreen mouse thing so that they can put the 4 extra pig step in their crafting menu. Oh yeah, they should probably be in the boat. The visitor or prisoner should get in the boat, and then the guard can climb the water and more easily throw the pig stuff to them. Okay, anyway, and then the entrant will throw the pig stuff back, and the guard will be like, okay, so they don't have any items. They will then enter the hallway, what I call the hallway section, which is just a really long, 128 block corridor. This prevents the warden from being banned, and the prisoner, by any ban items that come through over there. If they're a prisoner, they will come through this cobweb and go into this narrow tunnel. The guard will will tell them a lot about their coordinates, because this area is heavily surrounded by bans for the prisoner. The prisoner will come through this corridor and then drop down through this long water tube and enter the cell. The cell is just one boat. There's the boat. It's surrounded by a bunch of end crystals, which I'll turn the hitboxes on now. So there's no beds, right? There's no respawning without blocks. I guess we could do the kind of POI trick, but then it wouldn't be replaceable, right? We could only use one prisoner. Once the prison is built, we can't like have the guards place blocks and then break them during imprisonment. Place solid blocks and then break them during imprisonment, right? There has to be no blocks after the prison is done. So that means no respawning, which means no dying. So the prisoner is not allowed to die. So they're stuck in like this half a block by half a block area. There's bans on all four sides. They can't break anything. They can't place anything. They have no items, obviously. And they can't leave through the sides because there's bans. They can't leave through the floor because there's a boat, which they can't break. If they do leave through the sides, of course, you may think, oh, well, you know, they can just relog, fall into the void. Void damage doesn't have relog invulnerability. Well, no. You see, there's this cobweb water arrangement under the cell, and if we fall into this as a banned player, you know, we can't do any player inputs, right? We're just kind of passively falling. We stop. What are we standing on? Well, we're standing on water. Apparently, when you're in water and a cobweb, you don't fall. I don't know why this is. This is super weird. But yeah, you're now stuck here forever as a banned player. So yeah, that's kind of sad for you. You can't die. The reason the cell is so low is that you can't spawn phantoms. Phantoms could come and attack the player. So none of that. The difficulty is normal. Part of my kind of philosophy about the using vanilla and normal is that, you know, it's kind of more default. I feel like it's less cheesy or cheaty, either way, to use kind of the defaults than some very specific and random, you know, software plus version plus difficulty choice. The prisoner can get down to 1 heart or half a heart just by starving, but they can't lose that last half a heart. If the warden wants, the warden is up there in those on top of those boats. The warden can actually throw bread down to the prisoner, and the prisoner can pick it up, so the prisoner can eat. So this is not, you know, a forced starvation or whatever. So that's enough about the cell, I think. If the player is a visitor, that whole hallway there will be banned. So they'll just instead come along this hallway and go down this long tube. We have a breathing area right here where they can, you know, catch their breath. And then we go down one more layer and we have the viewing area. So the visitor is too far away to do anything to kill the prisoner. So yeah, but they can still see the prisoner. I mean, especially if you turn, you know, you use your kind of invisible end crystals resource pack, but even without it, you can see the player's head, I believe. And the player in there can certainly see you. The prisoner can see you. Anyway, once the visit is done, you just kind of shift. Oh, by the way, something I should have mentioned about this kind of floating on water and cobwebs is that you can actually shift out of it. You just can't do that when you're a banned player. So the visitor will slowly, I don't care, shift out, and then they will fall into the void. If the guards want to free the prisoner, they will actually unban this hallway, the one that the prisoner used to get in, and then the prisoner can actually walk off and shift out into the void, just like the visitor. So the exit process is just dying, because there's no spawn setting inside the prison or anything. You may think, oh, if there's no spawn setting inside the prison, there's no dying in the entrance process, can't they just stasis out? Can your prison stop stasis? Okay, so that's enough about the entrance process from the visitor's perspective, or the entrance perspective. But the warden's perspective is also pretty important and cool. So this is the warden room. It has no walls, of course. It does have a floor, kind of. This is pretty unideal. It's made of boats, but they kind of tend to push each other around. So you have to parkour a little bit carefully on them. So hopefully the Warden is good at parkour. So as you can see on the sides, we have these 4 pairs of controls. The left side is all turn a ban on, and the right side is turn the corresponding ban off. So in the visiting process case, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to turn the decon ban off, and then the guard is going to log on. So the way that they do that is they place a water bucket on the corresponding side in this sign. So as you can see, this water will just flow through this kind of contraption. It's not really a contraption. A bunch of signs and cobwebs, which are... Most of this prison is like signs, cobwebs, and water. So, because that's the only thing I can use. So the water is flowing down. As you can see, it's taking quite a while. The signs actually say how long it takes on them. And in reality, the guard would probably remove the water a few seconds afterwards. But I didn't, just for reasons of illustration. The water flows down. It pushes the zombie with the ban item in a boat to the other side of the kind of channel. So this has now retracted the ban that was banning this decon area. The portal ban is still active, but the decon guard can now log on and actually like load the because the portal ban is like 256 blocks away. It might not be loaded from the Warden room. So the decon guard would log on. And then, basically the visitor at this point is still in the Nether, right? So the decon has been deactivated, or I guess shifted away. Then what will happen is the Warden will activate or deactivate the portal ban, and then they will wait like 30 seconds, and then they will activate the portal ban. And then they will wait like a minute, and then they will tell the visitor to come through. Because around that point, the deactivation signal will have reached this, and the portal will be unbanned. Then the visitor has, 30 seconds to get out of here, and then the portal ban will reactivate. The way that two-player check is done is kind of, I don't know, you may consider it invalid. We just wait for all the other players to be offline, which, is a little bit sus, but, if you have a really active server where that never happens, then you can also afford maybe a third guard in the Nether to entity check or whatever. But I think doing the visit in the middle of the night when only the 2 guards, the prisoner, and the entrant are online is easier. Once the decon happens, the hallway ban, which is the one over here, will be removed. Once the decon guard gives the okay that actually, the entrance inventory is empty, because they've gotten back the full set of 41 items. And then, the hallway becomes unbanned. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good description of the entrance process. So some other facts about the Warden room. We have a banish entrance sign. This will just turn on these 3 components: the hallway ban, the decon ban, and the portal ban. Actually, it doesn't do that. It's a totally separate ban that just happens to ban all 3 of those areas. Because doing kind of an OR gate with signs is kind of annoying. These bans are supposed to be very fast. Because they're one way, or they're one use, they can be just signs. This will be activated if if someone joins the server the second the visitor enters the overworld, or if the visitor is exploding stuff, or trying to escape. And then we also have a suicide, of course. The suicide activates that, and it also activates this ban. You may be wondering what this lava is. This is, again, to do with phantoms. If I rebuilt this prison, I would put the Warden room below Y64. But yeah, as it stands, we just have a huge phantom killing box. The They can actually the decon guard can leave by dying. If you have another decon guard, I guess the decon guard can come back through. The warden can actually come down here and receive bread from the decon guard who has just come back into the prison. The warden will then go up, and then they would have bread, and then they could throw it back to the prisoner, like I talked about earlier. Okay. So I think that's kind of the overworld covered, or the unbanned area of the overworld covered. We also have these outer bands. These are just a fox. If I didn't make any errors, they will kind of ban the outline of this whole shape all the time. You saw that the Nether was pretty large. Well, the overworld is even supposed to be even larger, but it's not. The reason is because there are so many bands. I actually have... This is supposed to be what the outer bands look like. I didn't have enough patience or time to do this. So, yeah. This is what it's supposed to be, though. This is like 830 of those fox bands, each of which has a range of 128 blocks. If you're wondering about how we can place those bands, you put a band box in a dropper with a TNT on top of it, and then you activate the TNT and the dropper at the same time. The dropper will drop the band down, and then the TNT will blow the dropper up and use stasis out. And these are like 150 blocks apart. But these aren't really in the download. Like, the top row is, and then I just lost patience, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm just gonna give up at this point. Anyway, so I would ask that you pretend that this whole huge field of outer bands is in the download. Yeah, that's why we don't have a roof or floor detector. Well, we can't have them. So we need this huge array of outer bands to kind of achieve a dataless effect. I'm going to talk more about... Okay, I'm going to go to the Nether to talk about outer defense. Okay, we're in the Nether. And you may notice that the Nether has no outer defense. It just has air. Okay, the reason is I really wanted to do like this wall of signs, cobwebs, and lava. Signs to stop flying machines. Cobwebs and lava kind of stop TNT in kind of a similar way that cobwebs and water make the player stop moving. Or they stop the player unless the player really wants to move. So if you put cobwebs behind lava, TNT kind of can't go through that. Or unless it's going really fast enough that it just enters the cobweb. I haven't tested that thoroughly, but I think that's how it works. But that was so laggy. I just started to build kind of a floor version of the defense on one little part of this, and it was so laggy. Yeah, so I was like, I can't do this. So, if you want, you can pretend that the defense I just described is on the ceiling and the floor and the walls, or you can send a TNT or whatever. I'll be really disappointed, though. I will not be impressed. I will be sad. I will be like, why did I watch your video? I'm saying like anyone's gonna escape this. Nobody's gonna escape this. I left that part of the prison for last, and then it turned out that it was infeasible, especially on such a tight schedule. So, yeah, no outer defense. Also means no wither walls in the overworld either. The overworld walls would be even huger. They would have water, so, they could theoretically have water lava defense with no obsidian, but that would be incredibly laggy with a ton of signs and cobwebs and water and lava. The overworld is like 4,096 blocks wide. So, yeah. So nothing in the overworld, nothing in the Nether. You can pretend there's such things in the overworld and Nether, or not. I just want to take a second to appreciate the defile of gravity. We have an item riding a zombie, riding a boat, riding a strider, riding a lava, riding a sign, riding a cobweb. This is some truly next level engineering. Okay. Maybe I'll just talk about kind of suicide in the Nether. I already talked about how these columns detect block placement and stuff. If the entrant or anyone in the Nether is trying to destroy things, these sign lines will break. These are more of those one-use fast sign lines, and then they will break this sign. The lava will then break these two boats. Then this boat will fall into the lava. This zombie has fire resistant armor. The zombie will fall through this flowing lava and land in this boat. And will not die, and they will stop burning. So that's how the bans work in the Nether. We also have a perm ban up here. That doesn't move. That's just like part of the outer defense. So we have one of these on this side and one of them on that side of this pillar, and each pillar has two of these. So supposedly, if you do anything in that thing, such as making a portal, and we can't have visitors or anyone in the Nether making portals because the bans in the overworld are supposed to be completely unprotected except the outermost ones. So you could just destroy them immediately. So if the visitor is trying to make a portal, in particular, which is the thing that scares me the most, they will, theoretically, this ban will activate. These two bans will converge on the middle and ban this whole pillar in about 4 seconds, which is about the time that it takes to just go through a portal. So hopefully you cannot place and go through a portal before this ban reaches you and bans you. So that's how that works. I called these knights because they're doing this kind of ridiculous thing of falling through flowing lava while burning just above the void and just barely landing in this boat. And I mean landing in, like, they start to ride it. They don't just land on it. I don't really want to show it because this is the actual download, but you can try it for yourself. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's the Nether, I guess. I think that's all the features of the prison, really. I just want to talk about some kind of extra things. First of all, sometimes in single player, if you relog if the prisoner relogs while they're in the cell, they will fall into the floor, into the boat, and then they will, fall out of the world. I tried it on a server, on a localhost server. I could not get it to happen. I tried TPS lagging it. I don't know if that would do anything, but it didn't change it. So I think on a server, the cell is more robust. Speaking of lag, I think probably this prison cannot stand up to, like, most forms of lag. Of course, there's no, redstone components except for the redstone dust columns here. They don't actually have any tile ticks in them, so it's not vulnerable to tile tick suppression. So yeah, but if there's other kinds of lag, like make mobs move slowly or something, then, immediately the prison will fall apart. There are probably ways to exploit this pillar. I think if you throw TNT in here and then you regenerate a portal in the overworld, it can cause some issues. If you throw TNT all the way from out there. Oh yeah. Arrows. Arrows are not stopped by anything. Nothing can stop arrows. Arrows break boats instantly, and no blocks will stop arrows. They don't get stopped by cobwebs. So they're unstoppable. So yes, you can literally just shoot this thing, and then this zombie will fall into the void. I don't know what to do about it. It comes with not being able to place any legitimate blocks. So yeah. I discussed TNT already. TNT does get kind of stopped by cobwebs, so that works less if you are pretending, like I said, you could pretend if you wanted, or you could not pretend if you didn't want, that there are outer defenses over here. So yeah, I think that's the prison pretty much covered, along with, escape methods that work and don't work. Obviously, I'm not trying to make the most secure prison. I'm just trying to have a little bit of creativity. you know, I'm really quite proud of these moving bands that don't involve blocks, especially the one in the overworld. I think that's just really cool to have, you know, guard controllable movable bands with no redstone and no solid blocks. And I also think that this ender pearling system is kind of cool. I'm not going to say that escapes that I can't patch are invalid. I'm not doing a fox den. I'm just going to be disappointed if you do them. I'm just going to be a little bit sad. You know, if you want to do your prison, which is, what if we did Daedalus in the Nether? And what if we did, you know, Mangrove's Eye with memory bands? And what if we did Leon Void without memory bands? Then feel free. But, you know, I wanted to do something that required a lot of creativity. And I think I found a reasonably interesting challenge for that. So yeah, if you have any ideas for how to make this more secure while still following the rules of the challenge, comment. Oh yeah, and download is in my Discord server, which is linked in the description. Thanks for watching.